What's up, y'all? It's Kid Kenzie, and today I'll be talking about one of the most underrated characters in the Akatsuki, and to be honest, the entire series, and that is Deidara. Now, I ain't here to claim anything wild like he's top 3 in the Akatsuki. I just think he's severely misrepresented in the community. And for those wondering why I call him Deidara and not Deidara, well, that's because I first saw him on Naruto Clash and Ninja Revolution before I heard how his name was pronounced in the anime, so I was just calling him Deidara. Then when I heard how it was pronounced, I was like, I guess. But I'm still calling him Deidara. But we off that, on to the video. Let's start things off with his battle IQ. Due to Deidara's bombastic personality and fighting style, people sleep on his intelligence. This man has some of the best big brain plays in the entire series, and we see it in his first fight versus Gaara. Now, a lot of people are going to dismiss the fight and say things like, oh well, Gaara had to protect the village, but they also ignore that there were factors hindering Deidara. For starters, the man was low on clay, his main resource for fighting. Anybody who plays Naruto Storm knows that being low on chakra, ninja tools, and subs put you at a major disadvantage. Not only that, Deidara was tasked with capturing Gaara alive, all while Gaara had the home court advantage of being surrounded by sand. For starters, one of the most slept on feats in this fight was him being to instantly tell the difference between Gaara's sand-infused chakra and the normal sand from the desert, and this was all set up for one of the most big brain plays in the series. As you know, Deidara beat Gaara by making him defend himself with the sand that Deidara booby-trapped with some C1 spiders. But how exactly did he trick somebody as smart as Gaara into doing something like that? Well, that's because when Gaara used Sand Barrier on Deidara planted some of his clay within Gaara's sand. From there, he decided to drop his C3 on the village, knowing Gaara would have to use the desert sand to protect the village, leaving Gaara with only his personal booby-trap sand to protect himself. So, while Gaara was focusing on stopping the C3 blast, Deidara snuck a C1 bird by Gaara to detonate at close range, which Deidara knew would trigger his personal sand to protect himself that was booby-trapped. Now that is what we call a multi-step big brain play. The plan itself is great, but what makes it even more amazing is the fact that he thought of this while getting his arm crushed. To be able to think of a multi-layered plan in the heat of battle while your limb is getting crushed by sand hard enough to crush steel? That's nuts! Imagine you playing chess or Connect 4 versus somebody who's also very smart, but while you're making your moves, you're on a timer, you're also in a John Kramer jigsaw death trap. That's essentially what the Deidara had to overcome. His next major battle that displayed his IQ came in his battle versus Sasuke Uchiha, and while he lost, you're able to see why this fight has a case for the most strategic one in Naruto. Deidara is known to analyze his opponents and come up with effective counterplay, so when he notices that Sasuke is faster than him, he instantly decides to go to his C2 Dragon landmine combo. He also deduces how far Sasuke's Chidori Sharp Spear can go, and he hovers slightly outside of its range. From there, it appears that Sasuke is cornered, due to the landmines from below and the guided missile attacks from above. And if it weren't for the fact that Sasuke could fly, see chakra, and nullify his attacks with lightning style, it would have been a GG. Granted, Sasuke's intelligence was also shown off in this battle, because he made several great plays of its own, but that's why this battle is probably the best battle of wits in the entire series. However, Deidara's IQ does not stop here. When he launched C4, which sends off mini bombs into the atmosphere that destroy you from the inside out if you inhale them, Sasuke used the Genjutsu on Deidara to make it appear like the jutsu worked. However, Deidara accounted for this and had a clay clone ready, knowing Sasuke would likely use Genjutsu and the real Deidara hid in the clay, so that when Sasuke got close, he could attempt to trap him for a close-range C4 explosion. And while Sasuke ultimately won the battle of wits in the end, the displays of genius that Deidara put on versus Gaara and versus Sasuke, and even his feats outside of combat, like purposely triggering Naruto because Itachi told him that he's a hothead, is more than enough proof to show that he's one of the smartest characters in this series. But if all of that wasn't enough, the data book literally dedicates an entire page to Deidara's analytical skill, saying things like he can instantly assess the battlefield and his opponent's fighting style, and that's how he chooses a countermeasure. It even notes how the harsher the battle, the more motivated he is to win. So pressuring him only makes things worse for you. So it's safe to say, without a doubt, that Deidara's battle IQ is among the best in the series. Next, I'll be discussing his speed, and since people just assume he's some long-range spammer since they can't beat him in Storm, he actually does have some good speed feats in scaling. The first half of the section will be feats he directly performed, and the second half will be scaling him to Heavy Sasuke, who himself has very good speed scaling. For starters, Deidara is able to dodge Gaara's Sand, which is a very impressive feat because Gaara's Sand speed is no joke. Gaara's Sand has reacted to multiple close-range explosions, reacted to a Madoratsu, and intercepted a V2A in a Fire-Kage Summit Sasuke. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Deidara is as fast as V2A and all these people, because you can argue Gaara got faster. But the point being is, Gaara's Sand is really fast. Deidara was also able to somewhat keep pace with Team Guy with only a kunai in his mouth, and we know that especially at this point in the story, Team Guy was the strongest team in Konoha. Even though he admitted he won't be able to outrun them, the simple fact that he was able to clash and parry with the entire team while being injured and nearly out of chakra, it shows he's no slouch in the speed department, bro. Prior to this, Deidara was able to dodge a sneak attack from a bloodlusted base Naruto shortly after dodging Kakashi's Kamui, but this isn't even his most impressive speed feat of the encounter. Deidara was able to Perception Blitz, a Berserk mode Naruto. Naruto sneaks up on Deidara while he's talking to Kakashi and hits him with a crazy haymaker. Naruto summons clones, throws and pins him to the ground before he starts to repeatedly punch him in the face, and then he tries to delete him with a Rasengan. The Rasengan lands, but it's a clay clone. This means that either right before Naruto snuck up on him and punched him in the face, or right before Naruto used Rasengan, Deidara was able to body flicker out of there and replace himself with a clone. Now, I know the mechanics behind the substitution jutsu are a bit weird because sometimes it does function like raw movement speed that just goes faster than the opponent can see, i.e. a Perception Blitz. But other times, it kind of functions like short-range teleportation because the opponent is able to get out the way despite them clearly being trapped. Either way, Deidara was able to react to a QB Amp Naruto. As for his flight speed, he was able to keep up with Inoki. Now, on to the Heavy Sasuke portion of the video. Does Deidara completely scale the Sasuke in speed? No. But he was able to react to him enough times that I think it's fair to have them comparable in speed. Now, how fast is beginning the Shippuden / Heavy Sasuke? Very. Very. He blitzed a lot of people. Beginning of Shippuden Sasuke prior to absorbing Orochimaru without his Sharingan on, which we know amps your physicals, was able to absolutely blitz Team 7. Naruto didn't notice him move. Yamato notes how fast he is. Sakura says, when did he? And to be honest, Sakura's reaction is what makes the feat the most impressive. Small disclaimer, the same way I say Deidara instead of Deidara because I found him in a video game first and I didn't hear how his name was pronounced in the anime, I say Sasori instead of Sasori. So yeah, you're gonna have to get used to that. But we move. As we know, Sakura was able to keep up with and dodge Sasori, not only his hundreds of puppets, but even a third Kazekage puppet, as well as Sasori when he started to use himself. She was able to do all of that, yet she didn't even see Sasuke move. And no Granny Chio carried allegations. Sakura was able to dodge him herself. Sasuke's next impressive speed feat came when Jugo and Suigetsu were bloodlusted. They were attempting to kill each other, and Sasuke was able to blitz in between them and wrap his snakes around their entire body. Jugo and Suigetsu are not slouches in the speed department. They were able to react to Dari, C, and V1A. So, now that we established that Heavy Sasuke is an absolute monster in the speed department, Deidara being able to react to him at close range really puts into perspective that Deidara's speed is massively underrated. As for his AP, he one-shot a tailed beast. Oh, I have to keep going? Okay. Well, we know he one-shot it because the data book says that he uses a clay bomb. So this instantly debunks the silliness that Toby helped him, and we can also rule out it being C2, C3, or C4. We know it was a C1 fish because we literally see the panel. We see the explosion and we see the clay bomb that made it happen. He also one-shot Gaara with his C1 spiders. And then he also blew off one of Sasuke's CM2 wings. When he got reanimated in the war, his bomb was able to nearly flip the giant sea turtle over, and he thought his bombs could evenly match with Anoki's particle style. So yeah, Deidara's AP is no joke. Now, am I asking you to remake your Akatsuki tier list and move Deidara right behind the big three, being Itachi, Pain, and Obito? No. I mean, if you want to, you can, but no. I made this because I think Deidara is massively underrated in the community, and I think a bit of that is because he suffers from the first villain syndrome. Since he's the first major antagonist in Shippuden, people just assume that everybody after that is stronger because, you know, that's how shonen usually functions. And while for most of the time that is case that later enemies are stronger, that's not the case all the time. So like, there still is some analysis you have to do. So yeah, man, put some respect on Deidara's name. Because if not, we could play Storm 4, and I will make sure you respect Deidara after that. But anyways, hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day, y'all.